everyone. Pittsburgh EMS is being honored today by the American Heart Association for the Mission Lifeline Award, Gold Plus. This is our second year in a row to receive this award. And I'd like to introduce Gina Arshak to come up from the American Heart Association.
Thank you. Hello, Mayor Peduto, Chief Romano, and guests. On behalf of the American Heart Association, I am honored to be here today to present this elite award to the Pittsburgh Bureau of EMS, the 2019 Mission Lifeline Gold Plus EMS Achievement Award. My name is Gina Harach. I am the Director of Quality and Systems Improvement. The American Heart Association is privileged to work with the City of Pittsburgh for many initiatives around health. Today's recognition is no different. The American Heart Association recognizes the critical life-saving role of EMS, providing to patients suffering from an acute myocardial infarction or a heart attack. The correct tools and training allow EMS providers to rapidly identify the problem, promptly notify the correct hospital, and activate early response by hospital personnel. As an EMS agency that develops protocols derived by the American College of Cardiology and the American Heart Association guidelines, the City of Pittsburgh EMS is driving improvements in the care and outcomes of the residents of the City of Pittsburgh. To achieve the Gold Plus Performance Achievement Award, the City of Pittsburgh EMS has made it a priority to care for heart attack patients by ensuring that 4 imperative measures are met in more than 75% of their patients. These include pre-hospital EKG completion, EKG done within 10 minutes of arrival, hospital notification of EKG transmission within 10 minutes of suspecting an ST elevation heart attack, and transportation to the nearest hospital with a goal of 90 minutes to the cath lab. Beyond these basic components of a high-functioning system of care, the City of Pittsburgh EMS is part of an elite group of pre-hospital agencies in the United States, focused not only on high-functioning, but also on high-quality care. The City of Pittsburgh EMS joins 615 other EMS agencies in the United States and is one of 77 in the state of Pennsylvania, receiving this 2019 American Heart Association Mission Lifeline Award. Today we're celebrating lives saved because of hard work and dedication of the City of Pittsburgh EMS and your hospital partners. Looking at the last 10 years, from 2007 to 2017, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention have reported nearly a 45% decrease in age-adjusted mortality rates of adults 35 years of age or older dying of heart attacks in Allegheny County. The community served by the City of Pittsburgh EMS should be proud of their pre-hospital care. On behalf of all of the staff and volunteers of the American Heart Association, I would like to present the City of Pittsburgh EMS with the American Heart Association's Mission Lifeline 2019 EMS Gold Plus Performance Achievement Award. Congratulations.
Thank you, Gina.
There we go.
I would like to thank Gina and the American Heart Association for presenting the Gold Plus EMS Mission Lifeline Award to Pittsburgh for the second year in a row, as I mentioned before. But I'd like to thank all the City of Pittsburgh EMS personnel for their hard work and dedication to make this possible. And I'm going to have Assistant Chief Mark Pinchuk come up and give you some of the stats and also discuss one of our other initiatives for 2019 was crashing patients, which I believe has been very impressive also.
Thank you. So this is a difficult metric to meet, and it's something that we can't do completely by ourselves. So the one thing about the AHA programs, it forces us to be part of and build a system of care to address these very ill patients. So I want to thank our partners within our organization, especially our quality improvement personnel, our administration, and our partners external to the organization that make this possible. We need to work with our medical directors and our partner hospitals to build a system of care that allows us to do this. We see approximately 60 patients per year having a STEMI or ST elevation MI, where the goal is from the time we get a paramedic on scene until they're in the cardiac catheterization lab and their vessels open and their hearts reperfused is less than 90 minutes. And we're able to achieve that metric in about 80% of our cases for 2018, and our average time's around 80 minutes. So it's a pretty good metric we're able to pull off with the resources we have available to us here in the city. We want to thank the AHA and all of our partner organizations helping us to build this system of care to accomplish this. Another critical care program we have that we're proud of is what we call our Crashing Patients Program. And these STEMI patients fall in as part of that, but as a goal to identify critically ill patients and do emergently targeted resuscitative interventions to prevent them from suffering cardiac arrest or dying in the field. So this is a program we've been working on for about the last 3 years. We've reduced the incidence of patients arresting on field crews by about 50%. And for 2019, the Pennsylvania Department of Health adopted this program as a new ALS statewide protocol in Pennsylvania. So it's a protocol that all the EMS agencies in Pennsylvania are using now, and it's also being adopted by several other adjacent states, so we're hoping to roll this out as a national program in the very soon future here. So like I said, I want to thank our chief, our administration, our personnel in the field, and our partners have given us the resources to make these critical care programs happen and improve survivability for all the patients that we treat in the field. So thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Once again, I want to mention EMS personnel in the field that make this possible. And Paramedic President Jeff Trimble is with us today. If he would take that back to them for us.
I will.
Thank you. I want to introduce our medical director, Dr. Ronald Roth.
Thanks, Chief. I'd like to tell a story instead of giving a speech. As you know, yesterday was the Richard Caligiuri City of Pittsburgh Great Race. And towards the end of the race, a fella came up to me and said, "Hey, Dr. Roth, I'm the guy that died at last year's race." And indeed, he did. Last year, he was about to cross the finish line, and he dropped dead. Lucky for him, about a dozen city paramedics had just finished the race and were just standing around. And he literally had a dozen paramedics, 3 physicians caring for him. He was resuscitated on the ground at Point State Park. And as they wheeled him across the finish line in the stretcher, he was awake, talking, and asking if he'd be able to run the EQT 10-miler, which, as you know, is a month from now. I told him absolutely no. Although he obviously didn't listen to my advice and ran the 10K yesterday. Yesterday, as we introduced him to our administrators and some of the medics standing around, we saw him not as a percentage and not as a number, but we saw him as a father, a husband, and he introduced his little grandbaby. And I think we saw him, we saw what we get from being very vigilant and all the hard work that our city medics do. Yesterday, I realized a couple things. That number one, men my age are suffering heart attacks and cardiac arrests, so I need to be careful. 2, we have an incredible team here, starting with our 911 call takers, our first responders, and our remarkable ALS providers, our paramedics, that really bring hospital care to the streets. And then our world-class hospital institutions. And finally, I'm just so very lucky to be the medical director of such incredible people. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Roth. Public Safety Director, Wendell History.
I think Dr. Roth covered it perfectly. The residents of Pittsburgh, visitors of Pittsburgh, are very fortunate to have the system of care that they have within the city, starting with the 911 center that provides instructions to the individual calling for help, to the first responder program, to the paramedics, EMTs of the City of Pittsburgh EMS, and of course the fine facilities, the medical care facilities that we have within the City of Pittsburgh. As Dr. Roth mentioned, you don't take the statistics. You have the statistics, but to each statistic, there's a human life involved. And whether it's a father, mother, son, daughter. I mean, it's important to the individual, whether or not they're a resident, whether or not they're a visitor to the city of Pittsburgh. And I'm fortunate to state that since I've been back with all the great races, which are 3, which actually yesterday was the 3rd one I've been back for, or the 4th, the marathons, the 5Ks, we have not lost a life since I've been back, and I attribute that to the first responders and to the paramedics and EMTs within the city of Pittsburgh. We've had some close calls, and as Dr. Roth mentioned, I was there and witnessed the event last year when the individual fell several hundred feet from the finish line and was able to get his award as he was wheeled under the finish line. And then coming up to Dr. Roth yesterday, I mean, that means a lot to everyone involved. And there was one other arrest that occurred several years back, and our medics on the motorcycle arrived quickly, used the AED, and brought that individual back to life. So we are very fortunate in the city of Pittsburgh to have such care. Congratulations to the City of Pittsburgh EMS. Thank you to the American Heart Association, and thank you to everyone that day in and day out makes a difference to the visitors and residents of the City of Pittsburgh in saving their lives. Thank you.
We're honored to have Mayor Peduto here today to say a few words.
So Dr. Roth, let me get this right. The guy had a heart attack, was dead, and he still finished the race?
As we wheeled him across, he was awake.
That's a true Pittsburgher. Listen, everyone has said how incredible this is. I just want to reiterate one thing on behalf of the people of Pittsburgh. I mean, not only for our residents, but for the hundreds of thousands of people who come into our city every day. The ability to have hospital care on the streets is something that should be looked at as not simply an amenity, but something that we put a very strong value on in the city of Pittsburgh. The practice of a public medical unit that is available to the public, created by the public, was started here in Pittsburgh. And it's something that units will come from around the world to train with our specialists. And the partnership that we've been able to build out over the past decade and more with our hospitals, and working hand in hand on being able to provide that critical care at that one moment, but making sure that it is part of the ongoing care, is something you're not going to find in other cities. Certainly not in other areas of this region. And while you're here, whether you are a resident and your family or whether you are a visitor, you will be given the best care possible. And you will be taken care of in a way that is at a much higher standard than anywhere else. We oftentimes talk about cities and not being able to provide the same types of services as suburbs. We never have to talk about that when it comes to our medical care. Not only do we have medical care on our streets that is second to none regionally, we have medical care on our streets that's second to none on a national and international basis. And on behalf of the people of Pittsburgh, Chief, I just want to say thank you for that.
Thank you. That concludes our press conference.